Right now, two nuclear powers have 1 million soldiers staring at each other across the world's highest battlefield. Not in some distant future, not in a military simulation. Today, they've been there for 5 years, waiting, building, preparing for something that military computers say could kill 100 million people. The missiles are already aimed. The nuclear submarines are already patrolling. A peace agreement was signed 10 months ago, but instead of pulling back, both armies have actually gotten bigger. Your phone, your car, even the shirt you're wearing, they all depend on supply chains that run right through the kill zone. There's a third army that nobody's talking about too, one that's already chosen a side. Military strategists have been running war games. The results are so disturbing, they're classified. Hit that like button if you want to know who survives, and subscribe to the channel because the countdown has already begun. India and China have been one miscalculation away from war since soldiers beat each other to death with clubs wrapped in barbed wire. That was June 2020. Galwan Valley. 20 Indian soldiers dead, 4 Chinese. No bullets fired. The treaties banned firearms at the border, so they killed each other with medieval weapons in the frozen dark at 15,000 feet. 5 years later, nothing has been forgiven. 50,000 Indian troops now face 60,000 Chinese soldiers across the line of actual control. That's what they call the border nobody agrees on. 3,488 kilometers of disputed mountain territory. No accepted maps, no agreed boundaries, just 2 massive armies watching each other through binoculars. So what about the October 2024 agreement that was supposed to restore peace? Military commanders on both sides call it a pause, not a solution. The remaining 98% of disputed territory remains exactly as tense as before. Since January, there have been 17 reported transgressions, each violation filmed by drones, each video filed away as evidence for the war crimes trials both sides are already planning. Modi's coalition partners are demanding he look strong on China. Any perception of weakness could collapse his government, so he's approved 12 new mountain divisions, another 120,000 soldiers heading to the world's highest battlefield. But what's driving things is Xi Jinping has given his military a deadline. Be ready to take Taiwan by 2027. Every military analyst agrees, if China moves on Taiwan, India will move on the border. 2 fronts, 1 war. Both sides are building permanent bases in places where humans shouldn't exist. Concrete bunkers at 18,000 feet, nuclear-hardened command centers, 3 new Chinese air bases within strike range, 47 new Indian forward posts. They're not preparing for a skirmish, and both sides are hiding weapons that could end civilization. China just crossed a big threshold. 600 nuclear warheads, and they're adding 100 every year. At this rate, they'll match America's arsenal by 2056, but they won't need to wait that long to change the balance of power in Asia. India has between 160 and 170 warheads, enough to destroy every major city in China. China has enough to destroy India 4 times over. The Pentagon discovered something terrifying last year. 320 new missile silos are being constructed across China's northern desert. Satellite images show them arranged in perfect grids, spaced far enough apart that no single nuclear strike could take them all out. The DF-41 missiles going into those silos can deliver 10 independently targeted warheads anywhere on Earth in 30 minutes. Beijing to Delhi, 7 minutes. Mumbai, 9 minutes. No defense system on Earth can stop them all. India's response has been quieter, but equally chilling. The Agni-V missile, tested successfully 3 times since 2022, can reach any target in China. They're building nuclear submarines that can launch from the Bay of Bengal and hit Shanghai. Both countries officially have no first-use policies. Both promise they'll only fire nuclear weapons if attacked first, but military doctrines are evolving. China's latest nuclear strategy papers talk about launch on warning, firing the moment they detect incoming missiles, before confirming they're actually nuclear. 1 false alarm, 1 computer glitch. That's all it would take. Here's what U.S. Strategic Command General Anthony Cotton told Congress. China now has options at every rung of the escalation ladder. Small tactical nukes for battlefield use, city killers for strategic targets, and everything in between. In a full exchange, conservative estimates put casualties at 100 million dead in the first hour. The radiation would poison water supplies for 1 billion more. Nuclear winter would trigger global famine. 2 nuclear giants sharing a border with nowhere to retreat. Nuclear weapons are the ultimate threat, but the mountains themselves might be an even deadlier enemy. The Himalayas kills both sides sides equally. Soldiers deployed to these heights lose 30% of their combat effectiveness immediately. The air contains half the oxygen found at sea level. Your brain stops working properly. Simple decisions become impossible. Wounds that would heal in days at normal altitude become fatal. In the 1962 war, more Indian soldiers died from altitude sickness than Chinese bullets. They were rushed from the plains straight into mountain combat. No acclimatization. Their bodies simply shut down. Both armies learned that lesson. Now they rotate troops through altitude chambers. 3 weeks minimum to adjust. But 3 weeks is a luxury you don't have when war starts. Here's what combat looks like at these heights. You can't run. You'll pass out. You can't call for air support. Helicopters can't fly above 20,000 feet. You can't amass forces. The narrow valleys funnel thousands of soldiers into kill zones just meters wide. Supply lines are nightmares. Every bullet, every meal, every bandage must be carried up paths where one wrong step means a 1,000-foot fall. In winter, temperatures hit minus 40 degrees Celsius. Diesel freezes. Batteries die in minutes. Weapons jam. The defender's advantage is absolute. Military science says you need 3 attackers for every defender in normal terrain. In the Himalayas, it's 10 to 1, and the defender can be a single soldier with a machine gun, holding an entire battalion at bay. India has the world's most experienced mountain warfare troops. Their high-altitude warfare school in Gulmarg has trained in these conditions for 60 years. Every soldier learns ice climbing, avalanche survival, and how to fight when you can barely breathe. China's building pressure chambers that simulate 25,000 feet. They're breeding yaks specifically for military transport. They've studied every mountain battle in history.
But maybe the mountains isn't where this war will be fought. In 2020, China proved it could shut down Mumbai's power grid without firing a single shot. However, this citywide blackout was just a little practice. 10 months later, they hit 12 Indian power plants simultaneously. No bombs, no missiles, just code. 20 million people lost electricity in the middle of summer. Hospitals switched to backup generators. Train networks crashed. ATMs stopped working. That was a warning. The real capability is far worse. Both militaries now treat cyber weapons as seriously as nuclear ones. China's Unit 61398 has 50,000 hackers targeting military networks. India's Defense Cyber Agency is smaller, but scored a major hit last year. They crashed China's satellite navigation system for 6 hours. Every Chinese weapon that relies on GPS was blind. The actual shooting war might even start in space. Both sides have demonstrated anti-satellite weapons. One missile, one dead satellite. And suddenly, nobody can see what's happening on the ground. No reconnaissance, no communications, fighting blind in the mountains. Then come the drones. Not 1 or 2, but thousands. AI-controlled swarms that don't need human operators. They fly through mountain valleys below radar, identifying targets by themselves, deciding what to destroy. China tested a swarm of 5,000 drones last year. They communicated with each other, shared targets, and adapted when some were shot down. India's BrahMos missile, which was developed with Russia, travels at 3 times the speed of sound. Mountain to target in 4 minutes. No warning, no defense. They've deployed 300 along the border. China's response is hypersonic glide vehicles that travel at Mach 20. They skip along the edge of space. Impossible to track, impossible to stop. From launch to impact on Delhi, 5 minutes. Another nightmare scenario is electromagnetic pulse weapons. These detonate one at high altitude, and every electronic device below dies. No phones or computers, no modern weapons. Both armies reduced to fighting with whatever doesn't need electricity. The Pentagon calls these assassin's mace weapons, cheap systems that neutralize expensive advantages. One cyber attack, one EMP, and $1 trillion of military hardware becomes useless metal. 2 giants preparing to fight is frightening enough, but what if it becomes 3? While the world watches India and China, Pakistan quietly moved 170 nuclear weapons to the border. Pakistan and China call it an all-weather friendship. What that means is China provides weapons, training, and intelligence. In return, Pakistan opens a second front that could destroy India's military planning. Last May, when tensions spiked between India and Pakistan, something remarkable happened. Pakistani J-10C fighters, built in China, shot down 2 Indian aircraft. The Indians were flying French Rafales, supposedly among the world's best fighters. The Chinese PL-15 missiles worked perfectly. The range is 190 kilometers. The Indians never saw them coming. That was the test. Now Pakistan has 200 J-10Cs on order. Here's India's nightmare, fighting China in the mountains while Pakistan attacks from the west. The Indian military has spent decades planning for this. They call it a 2-front war. Their conclusion is they can't win both. India would need to split its forces. 700,000 troops to face China, 600,000 to hold Pakistan. That leaves nothing in reserve. Pakistan's nuclear doctrine makes this even more terrifying. Unlike India and China, Pakistan openly threatens first use of nuclear weapons. Their policy, if losing conventionally, launch tactical nukes, small nuclear weapons designed for battlefield use. They've deployed these along the entire border. The geography is a trap. Kashmir, where all three nations meet, is already the world's most dangerous nuclear flashpoint. 3 armies, 3 nuclear powers, disputed territory that all three claim as sacred. Pakistani generals won't sacrifice their country for China. They don't have to. Just mobilizing their forces would force India to divide its army. Just threatening to open the second front changes every calculation. China's been preparing Pakistan for exactly this role. Joint military exercises every 3 months. Chinese satellites providing real-time intelligence. Chinese advisors embedded in Pakistani units. The weapons are in place. The alliances are solid. 3 nuclear powers, impossible terrain, weapons beyond imagination. Military computers have been running simulations, and the results are not good. The Pentagon's military computers have been running simulations, and the results are not good. Nobody wins. Everybody loses. They've run it 47 times. Different scenarios, different first moves, different red lines crossed. The result never changes. Here's how it starts. China launches its offensive in the spring when the mountain pass is clear. Coordinated strikes across the entire border. Cyber attacks shut down Indian communications. Hypersonic missiles destroy forward bases. In the first 72 hours, China tries to advance its forces as much as possible. India's mountain defenses slow them down. By week 3, the Chinese offensive stalls. Supply lines can't keep up. Altitude sickness decimates reinforcements. Indian artillery, positioned on high ground, turns every valley into a killing field. Month 2 is stalemate. Neither side can advance. Both start losing 1,000 soldiers per day to combat, weather, and altitude. The mountains are littered with bodies that can't be recovered. In month 3, Pakistan mobilizes. India has to pull 4 divisions from the Chinese front. China breaks through in Arunachal Pradesh. India threatens nuclear response if China advances further. This is where every simulation goes dark. The probability of nuclear escalation is 1 in 5. Not because leaders want it, because mistakes happen. A commander misinterprets orders. A radar misidentifies missiles. Fear makes someone push the button. If it stays conventional, the simulations show a decade-long war. China can't hold territory where the population hates them. India can't push China back. Both economies collapse. Global GDP drops 20%. Everyone who makes computer chips is dead or fighting. What makes strategists lose sleep is that China's demographic collapse means they can't replace casualties. By 2100, their population falls below 800 million. Every dead soldier is irreplaceable, but they can't back down without regime collapse. India faces economic annihilation. The war would cost $1 trillion in the first year. Their economy would shrink by 40%. 20 million refugees. Famine within 6 months. The American assessment is blunt. Escalation through miscalculation or irrational response is nearly certain. The simulations are clear. The weapons are ready. The troops are in position. So who actually loses when giants collide?
The answer isn't India or China. It's you watching this right now. Your phone stops working because Taiwan makes the chips. Gas prices triple because the Strait of Malacca closes. Your job disappears because the global economy crashes. The following recession makes 2008 look like nothing. India loses 1 million soldiers, its economy, and possibly its democracy. China loses its future. Demographic collapse plus war casualties equals civilizational decline. Pakistan gets turned into a nuclear wasteland, but we all lose. $10 trillion vanished. Nuclear winter, mass starvation, the end of the global order that's kept us mostly peaceful since 1945. The 2025 to 2030 window is the point of maximum danger, basically the next 5 years. Taiwan, Kashmir, or just a mistake at the border. Any spark could start a massive, diabolical war. What do you think about the India-China tensions? Can this war be prevented? Comment below with your take. If you want to stay informed about the conflicts that could reshape your world, hit like and subscribe to the channel now. Watch this video next. We think you'll find it absolutely fascinating.